Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. We discuss 6 questions in 9 minutes because leaders know how to be concise. We'll go ahead and get started with today's guest. Our first question, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Hey, my name is Matt Pierce. I'm the founder and CEO of Immediate, which is a fintech company that helps businesses recruit, engage, and retain their employees by providing them with on-demand access to their earned but unpaid wages. And we're headquartered in Birmingham, Alabama, and I'm pleased to be here today.
Great, and thank you for being here. Question number 2, what's the best thing about working with a team?
So about 10 years ago, I started a side hustle that was just me, right? And what I learned pretty quickly was when you're kind of on an island doing things all alone, you can identify your strengths, but more importantly, you figure out your weaknesses really quickly. And so when we started this company a few years ago, my co-founders and I obviously learned from the last time and found some co-founders to get started with. And we spent a lot of time working on identifying what our strengths are. And again, importantly, figuring out what our weaknesses were. And so we started aggressively trying to find people to fill in those gaps, right? Those weaknesses. And so this is essentially what I love the most about a team. It's the collective value of optimizing every individual's strengths and collectively building as a team.
I like that phrase, collective optimizing. That's a great phrase. Well, question number 3, excuse me, I hear from other leaders of teams that it can be a challenge to get team members engaged. What are your thoughts?
For me, it really comes down to aligning your team on a significant goal, right? Like we take a stance of a vision that creates a mission that kind of drives your day to day. So for us as a company, Immediate, we believe that every American should have access to their earned wages on their time, not just when an archaic, centuries-old biweekly pay cycle says, hey, it's Friday and you should get paid, right? And so from that vision, we created a mission that essentially says, hey, over the next 3 years, we as a company are going to positively impact the financial wellness of 1 million Americans. And we wake up every day as a team sitting down and saying, is what we're doing today going to drive us closer to that goal of impacting 1 million people over the next 3 years? And so when you align with your team and receive buy-in, to me, engaging them on a daily basis, it becomes less difficult, right? It's you're not pushing them, you're not necessarily pulling them. It's kind of an arm-in-arm progression towards this collective goal and mission, which to me takes from vision to mission to day to day. That's how you really get people engaged.
That's a great point. I love that you shared that about vision alignment and trying to get everybody moving together, that arm-in-arm picture. I like that a lot. Well, question number 4, what other piece of advice would you have for leaders of teams?
Management is tough. I can't count the number of people that have progressed into a role where they were managing people, and then you talk to them and they go, gosh, I just wish I was an individual contributor again. It's one of those things where a lot of people in their mindset, their career is, I want to grow and get into a spot where I manage a ton of people. And they realize that it's really difficult and time consuming to build effective teams. One of my favorite examples of this is my first job out of grad school. I was kind of worked my way up into a leadership role, working business development in a healthcare technology company. And we were traveling. I was traveling with the head of sales, and he said, hey, man, we're going to go to dinner with this rock star sales rep. Guy's been crushing it year in and year out. And tonight we're going to sit down and we're going to convince him to take this role as a new head of sales for one of our divisions. I said, yeah, let's go do it, right? And we go out and we sit down at dinner, and he kind of lays it out and says, so, do you want this promotion? The guy goes, really, I'm flattered. Thank you so much. Not interested. And he says, the head of sales goes, well, I mean, you can take some time and think about it, right? And he goes, don't need to. And he kind of looks at me and looks back and he goes, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Like, I'm offering you a bigger title, a bigger base salary, all these things. And the guy goes, hey, look, man, I'm really good at what I do. And I wake up every morning and I know my strengths and I know what I'm going to go do. And that's all I got to worry about. If I take this job, sure, I might be guaranteed a little bit more money up front, but I got to manage 8 people. And I'm going to wake up every day wondering what they're doing every day and then going out and trying to get them and coach them to do their best job. And for me, as a really good salesperson, that limits my potential earnings. And so I think that if I sit back and stay in this role, I'm going to do the best job I can do here. And so what I took out of that was, man, this guy really knows his strengths. And so the long answer to your question, but the piece of advice I give to people that are running a team is help your team identify what their strengths are and then play to those strengths. Don't try to take somebody who's really good at selling and put them in a management role, because either they're going to be unhappy and they're going to end up leaving to go somewhere else where they can sell, or they're just not going to be a very good leader. And so if you know their strengths, play up their strengths, and then as you manage them over time, you identify the weaknesses, the rough edges, right? And then you smooth those out. Collectively as an organization, if you do that, I believe you get to a really good spot.
Wow, what a great story, because it is such a true concept. And it's one of the most common mistakes that I see that a lot of people experience. They take their best person out of a functioning role. And just like your friend was so smart to turn that down and say, you know what, I want to be an expert at what I do. If it's sales, I want to be the best salesman there is. I don't need to have that stroking, that ego boost,
right,
leading people. I just want to be the expert and go do it, and let the people that are really good at leading, let them become the experts in leading and organizing and managing teams. But wow, what a great story. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, and to add on really quickly, I'll taking us off agenda for a second. I feel like our society encourages and congratulates people for dabbling. And I believe that in order to be really successful, you've got to be an expert. Mm-hmm. And so people that dabble and do a lot of things kind of well, they may be successful. They may hit, they may find something good for them. But I believe that the people that are really good in the long run can figure out what they do the best, and they can go really deep in that area. And so, I think that's just a big part of leading the right team is helping people figure out what they can be experts at, and then embracing that and supporting that.
Love it. I absolutely love that. Well, question number 5, what other successful team leaders, such as yourself, would you like to recognize that have had a positive influence in your life?
I'm really fortunate that I've got a guy who's been mentoring me for coming on 10 years now, who I was able to convince to come join us at Immediate as our Chief Strategy Officer recently. And so I pick his brain on almost a daily basis. He started a company in 2005 and built it up, and in 2016 sold that company to Phillips. And it's just been a really, really great guy. His name's Mason Beard. And Mason, as I said, has been a mentor of mine and just has really helped me learn a lot about leadership, about management, and ultimately about doing the right thing, which I believe as a business, if you do the right thing in the long run, you're going to win. And so I'm really fortunate to have a guy like him in our corner. And he's somebody I look up to and learn a ton from.
He sounds like a great individual, so thank you for recognizing him. Well, last question. Tell us about your first job.
So my first official job was when I was in high school. I was a janitor at a chain of gas stations. I grew up in North Alabama, and there were 20 gas stations across the area, and I took care of all the things across all those places. Just drove around and fixed leaky faucets, and I remember that one summer I had to wear a big jacket and jeans because I had to clean out the freezer, and I'd do it for 30 minutes and take a break for 30 minutes, just to thaw out. It was long days and not fun at all, but it taught me a lot about work ethic, which I kind of carried into my first real job after graduation. I was a 100% commission sales rep. and not fun either. Getting told no a lot and eating what you kill. But it really, I was selling orthopedic back braces and knee braces, post-op ice therapy packs, and those two were long days and lots of ramen noodles that carried over from college. But that helped me learn a ton about selling. And as an entrepreneur, you are always selling. And so, and I look back on those days, and while I was in it, I didn't necessarily enjoy it, but I look back on those days and wouldn't trade that experience as a 100% commission sales rep for anything.
Those early jobs certainly provide some great lessons for us. That's for sure. Matt, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. How can people find you?
Best way to get a hold of me is my email, Matt, M-A-T-T, Matt at joinimmediate.com. That's the best way to get me.
Very good. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, you can find us on LinkedIn by searching Blue Sky Business Consulting. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.